Once upon a time, I accidentally hypnotized my boyfriend into his past life, and that's how I realized that past lives actually do exist. In my last video, I was talking about ancestral work, and I mentioned that the world of spirituality kind of just found me. I never intentionally sought after it, and this is one of the stories of how spirituality truly did end up finding me. I was raised evangelical Christian, and then after that, like in my teenage years, I was a very staunch atheist, did not believe in anything, didn't want to believe in anything because of my experiences with religious trauma. So I was never looking for like something outside of myself to believe in. I was very happy not believing in anything. Like that's actually where I found a lot of comfort. And so this was one of those stories that like truly blew my mind and kind of changed the trajectory of my life, not even gonna lie. So I was a few years into working on myself at this point, right? I had kind of hit my rock bottom moment, realized I wanted to look at my life a little deeper and be more intentional about building my life and figure out basically what the heck was wrong with me. So I was peeling back a lot of different layers in my life. And at this point, I was meditating every single day. I was really trying to like not be in the outside world and just go into my internal world and figure myself out. So at this time, I had a dog named Daisy. She was my soul dog, my familiar, love her, and she was a rescue corgi. The last apartment that she lived in, her owners basically didn't take her on any walks, and she was so big when we got her that she actually couldn't really, like, if she stood up, her stomach still was touching the ground. Like, she couldn't really sit. Like, it was actually so sad. But I would go on these walks with her every single day, and that became our thing, right? So after work, I would walk her like through all these different neighborhoods. We would just kind of get lost in the neighborhoods together and then find our way back home. And that was like, I don't know. It was just really, really nice for both me and her. And it was a way that we bonded too. So I'm on this walk with my dog one day, and right across, so not across the street this way, but like next to me on the same street was a couple of businesses. One of them was a mechanic, like car repair kind of business. And then the next one across the street from that was just like a completely abandoned building. I had lived in that apartment for a few years and it had never been anything, right? And then the rest of the neighborhood was just like residential. So I'm walking my dog, we're coming back from our long walk, and we're getting close to my house, and in front of that abandoned business was a box of books. And I'm a huge reader. I've loved reading my entire life, and so I was like, oh, this is exciting. But, you know, I had my dog, she was tired, it was a hot day, so I was like, okay, we just need to get inside. I get inside the apartment, and something was just nagging me, like, you need to go out there, look at these books. It was just like a box of free books, right? So I'm like, okay, I may as well go. I go back down the stairs, go outside, and start looking in this box. And it was like just weird, like you could tell it was just like someone's home office with all these old books that they were trying to get rid of, like Dave Ramsey books and just random like financial stuff and just kind of like nothing I really cared to read, lol. But I did find one book, and it's right here. It looked like this. It had like the scribbles on it and everything that you can see. Like it just was a whole mess. There was no jacket on it, no cover. Like this is what I saw. So I opened it up, and it was a book on past lives. And I wasn't really even sure, like I didn't really know that much about past lives. Again, like the most I'd seen about this was maybe like a conspiracy video on YouTube back in the day or something like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm taking this book. I get inside and immediately I'm hooked. I'm like, every single page is a different chapter. I mean, every single chapter is a different story about a different client's past life. So this was written by someone, it was written by Sylvia Browne, and I feel like she is very controversial. I actually don't know that much about her history. I think it was something like she ended up like taking back everything, all the work that she did in her spiritual community or something. I don't know. I don't really get obsessed with people in like the healing or wellness or spiritual world. I just kind of look at certain people's contradictions, but especially at the time, I really didn't know anything about her. I was just like reading these stories, right? And in my mind, I'm like, kind of looking at it as a piece of fiction. Like, it's taking you through the client's experiences. So every story is like a different time period. Every story is like a different person's experience in a different life. And then it kind of goes into how those wounds from their past life were still affecting them today. And so I loved it from the perspective of psychology. I loved it from the perspective of client work. I loved it from the perspective of history. Like, it was just interesting, right? So I'm like flying through the chapters in this book, and it's not very long either. And at the very end, I get to this place that, sorry, I just found a random like note that I made in this book forever ago. Oh, there's like a whole thing that just fell out of here. Off to Italy. Okay. This is editing rush, and I cannot believe I did not realize the irony of this Italy card being inside this book. I don't remember ever using this as a bookmark, and I definitely didn't have it with me at the time of reading this book. So you'll see why this is so ironic in just a minute. Well, I guess I used that as a bookmark at some point. Anyways, so I'm flying through this book, right? And then I get to the end, and it says that there's like some sort of past life, like hypnosis in the back. It's like a whole script of it. And I was like, no freaking way. But I was like, this is not really gonna work. Like, again, part of me was like, what if this whole book is just fiction? Like, I was kind of just looking at it through a skeptical lens of like, I think this is interesting, but like, I'm not sold on it, right? So then I tell my boyfriend one day, he like comes home, and I'm like, okay, so I want to try this thing, and like, I kind of want to try it on you. And he was okay with it. I was like, honestly, I don't think anything's going to happen. Like, in the worst case, you're just like laying down on a yoga mat, and I'm going to read to you, and then it'll be over. So he agrees to it, and I just start like reading the hypnosis. I had no idea what I was doing. Honestly, wish I'd looked into it a little more, or maybe believed in it a little more, because I was just like convinced that like nothing was gonna happen. And so I didn't even look into like the ethics or like the methods of hypnosis. And I kind of wish I did in retrospect. But so he's like laying on this yoga mat, I'm reading this hypnosis to him, and there's not like a lot of detail. It's literally just like a script, but it doesn't say like how to use it or where to pause or where to ask more questions or anything. So I'm starting to read it, and there's like a part where I'm like, how old are you? And he just like responds as his normal self. Then we start over, and we get to a point where he's like feeling something. Like I almost feel like in retrospect, maybe it was like a situation where it was like a stillbirth, or he passed before he was actually born, because he like saw this light but then couldn't go through it, and like it felt like that was it, like that was the whole life experience. And so then that was really weird. But again, I also was like, I don't know if this is working. So we decided to try it one more time. And I start at the beginning, or actually I think there was something in the actual script, and it said to like, if something was different, to keep going, or there was a certain part where you could kind of go back a little and then start from there. So I did that for the third time, and we're kind of going through it, taking our time, being a little bit slower this time. And I finally get to the point where I'm like, how old are you? And he responds literally in a voice that was not his, that said 17. And I wanted to talk to him about it, but he's literally like in this state of being hypnotized. So I'm like looking around the room, like completely alone, just like, what is happening? What is going on? And for a second, I thought that he was just messing with me, but he was not. Like, so I keep going, and I keep kind of asking him these questions. And again, it was like the voice that sold me. Like, it didn't sound like he was joking, and it didn't sound like even a voice that he would put on. It wasn't scary. It was almost like higher pitched, and it sounded scared. And so I was like, this is crazy. So in the hypnosis, we kind of keep going. And I think it starts to ask like, you know, where are you? What are you doing? What do you see? That kind of thing. So all of a sudden, he starts describing that he was asleep on a gondola in Venice. and he's never been to Italy. He, like, this wouldn't be something that he would just remember, or like an experience that he actually had in real life. Like, this was so weird. And so I just kind of keep asking him questions, and he starts telling me about how he doesn't really have a home, and he sleeps in a gondola overnight, but he usually wakes up from like water splashing on his face, and then he has to like jump out of this gondola and kind of figure out where he's going. And this is a part where I wish that I had more experience, or at least more understanding of like the ethics of hypnosis, because in the script it just goes, where, like, what do you see in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years. And it wrote it all together. And I didn't know like that I needed to actually pause to give him time to orient himself in every single one of these time periods. Like, obviously now it makes a lot more sense to me, but at the time, like, again, I just didn't even think that anything was going to happen. And so I was definitely unprepared. Okay, so I'm asking him questions, and he ends up like being on a horse. Like, at this point in his life, he had never even ridden a horse, but he was on a horse, like riding it into battle, into these like hills and these rolling hills. And then he was looking around at the end of this battle and seeing like all these fallen like soldiers or whatever from how they looked back then. Like, this was hundreds of years ago. And again, none of these things were like normal life experiences that he would have had, or things that he would have experienced or kind of dreamed about, that he was like fitting. Like, it just didn't make sense. And so like a little bit later, the hypnosis wrapped up, and obviously, like I said, it went by faster than I thought it would, because I didn't know that I needed to take a lot more time and like ad lib the hypnosis. Like, I didn't know I could just like talk to him back and forth while he was in that state. And again, I wish I did, but we ended the hypnosis, and like at the end of the hypnosis, it kind of like calms you like back down, brings you back into your body, and then you wake up. And so he woke up and he was just like, what just happened? And I was like, dude, this was crazy. Like, he could remember some of it, and now I feel like he has some of these visuals in his mind, but I don't think it would have unlocked in any other way. And again, he's not like having regular dreams or watching movies about like Italy 500 years ago, you know? So, we go into some of like, I start like taking some notes down on like the general things that he experienced. And we were talking about like a couple of, like, we were trying to kind of narrow down the location. And obviously with him waking up on a gondola and then there being water around, like, we knew it was Venice, we knew it was Italy. So we started like researching old battles that they had in old buildings, and there was a couple of buildings that he recognized from the hypnosis that we found online, and I wish I could remember what they are now. If I can, I'll add a video or like a photo. So we were doing research into what buildings he was able to see, because he remembered this tall tower and he remembered what he was calling a town square. In our research, we ended up finding that this is the Piazza San Marco, and there is this famous clock tower there. Neither one of us have been here or been to Italy in real life, but this is exactly what he was seeing. And he would remember being out on the gondolas, and because he didn't have a home, because he didn't have a family in this life, he was always kind of on the move and orienting himself around these landmarks. So being able to find the photos and him recognizing like that's exactly what I was seeing also helped us kind of match things up. Like I said, with the gondola, we knew it was probably Venice, but with this square also being close by, he had like a
it all
bond
started
with
to kind of
his
click and make
specific
sense.
horse. He recognized some of the buildings. We also found a battle that happened like at what we think was roughly the time period that he was seeing and experiencing. And it was just so wild. And the fact that like I was just on a walk with my dog, came across a random box of books, took one without a cover, ended up loving it, and then ended up accidentally hypnotizing my boyfriend into his past life was crazy. I want to try this on myself, but I'm also a little bit scared now. Like, maybe I'll do it eventually, but I wish I could like say it to myself. Like, I wish I could read it to myself and then like record it, but I also feel scared not having someone else there. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely needs to be a two-person job. I've thought about doing past life hypnosis in the past, and I don't know if I would ever actually record it and like share the whole thing online, but I would definitely recap the experience. So maybe that's something that future me will do. And I feel like the other thing that really helped me believe it was that it was me. Like, if we went to a different past life hypnotist, like at the time I actually went to a tarot reader and a palm reader at the Renaissance fair, and I thought it was just like a fun thing to do. Again, I was like very new and very much exploring spirituality, but actually had no like functional knowledge of anything that was happening. And even with the palm reader, like I was just like, I don't know if I believe this, I don't know if this is fully true. I actually went back twice to the same palm reader, and she was telling me about kind of the same things both times. And then she was like, have you been here before? And I was like, yeah, I came back like a couple months ago. And so even that, like, I was still skeptical though when I walked away. I was like, I don't know about any of this. And so knowing that it was me, like I had no reason to like force it to be something that it wasn't, you know, like I didn't have any sort of like skin in the game, like neither one of us did, or were trying to prove anything to anyone. This was just like a weird fun night at home, and it was one of those experiences that stacked onto a bunch of other experiences that over time fully led me into my spiritual journey. But I'm curious if any of you have ever had a past life regression, because I'm just so fascinated by the whole thing. And I really do think that there are these kind of bigger, like, life blockages and lessons that we carry in our lifetime. And I know that a lot of them are generational cycles from our ancestors, but I also think a lot of them are from past lives. Like, we've all had obstacles in life where we're like working through it and healing through it, but we're like, why is this affecting me so much? Why is this such a big block for me? Like, sometimes there are obstacles that we have in life that are so much stronger than just what we could create. Like, we all have worked through our limiting beliefs. We've all worked through these stories that we've created in life and all these things. And when we do, we know we can kind of trace back to where they came from. We can kind of unravel them. And even if it's hard or painful, or we have to create physical changes in our life to uphold the new version or the new lesson that we've learned, there's still a sense of like, I know this came from me, like this is manageable. But then some of us have come through these cycles and these patterns in life that are genuinely so big. It's like I am working through it and moving through it and being intentional about it and journaling about it and tapping about it and doing somatic work, and like it's taking years and years and years for me to move through this obstacle. It feels like it's never ending. That's when we know that it's something deeper. And for me, there's one of two ways that these kind of stories end, and it's either that you find out that the core of that issue is not just something that came up in your life, but it's actually either connected to a generational cycle that many of your ancestors have been working through and moving through or struggling to break for years and years, or I think it could also be a past life. Or I think it could also be a past life where you were stuck on something, or something like an injustice happened to you, or you passed away before you were able to come to a resolution, or maybe there was some sort of trauma that happened. You know what I mean? And the other thing about past lives is that, like, I feel like it's suspicious if everyone's like Cleopatra in a past life, but those regular day-to-day stories of, you know, like losing your barn in a fire, or, you know, being in battle, or struggling with resources, or trying to manage raising a family, like it's those kind of everyday life experiences that really fascinate me about past lives. And I think those are way more common and way more interesting, honestly, because not everyone is going to be some great pharaoh or some great leader. But when someone dreams about a past life that was just so regular, there's no point in making it up, that convinces me a lot more that those things actually happened. You know what I mean? But anyways, let me know what you think about past lives. Like, have you ever had a past life regression? Do you believe in past lives? Have you ever done any research on past lives? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you would like to book a session with me, a tarot reading, or a self-worth coaching session, you can do that at blacksheepexperience.com. Be sure to like this video if you want more story time videos, and do subscribe if you are also a black sheep or the cycle breaker of your family. And I love you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye.